People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, we are back, and this week we have, I don't know how we put this, Natalie. What would you say?
An actress, comedian. All sorts. I mean, just all over talented person.
This is going to be awesome. We have Rebekah Kochan. How are you, girl?
Hi, I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
I am so excited. We have a whole list of stuff. Natalie she wanted to be an actress. So that was one of the things. I pulled her into a magic business. Now we're on the road performing, doing live shows. But she wanted to be an actress. Her parents made her go to college, get a real job, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of
real job.
I got her reeled in a little bit. Anyway, I was gonna let her do the introduction because she's so into this.
Oh.
But yeah. So thank you for being on. Thank you for doing this. What projects are you working on right now that we're pulling you away from? Anything today?
You know, today there's various projects that are in the beginning stages of development. Nothing I can really talk about specifically, but lots of exciting things going on. So various projects, hopefully within a couple months, I'll be able to talk about them more and I'll be able to post about them. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on in this crazy business right now. So
awesome.
Well, I've been researching your IMDb and your Wikipedia page and all this stuff, and it is just amazing how much stuff you've done. I know we're not going to get into it all. For our viewers, listeners, that Rebekah Kochan married to Dante, the comedian that we've had on the podcast twice. Mm-hmm. Love the guy. So I'm like, yeah, I want to interview Rebekah too. Yeah. This would be awesome. So you are also co-owner of Golden Artist Entertainment. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, Rebekah. Been on the road all day long. Sorry, honey.
It is okay. Yes, I am the co-owner of Golden Artist Entertainment here in Los Angeles, and we have lots of amazing clients, and we do production. And yeah, we've been doing this business for almost 10 years, and you know, we just keep growing all the time. It's been a crazy few years because of all the insanity with the strikes and, you know, COVID and everything. But I feel like we're on a really good upswing and trajectory in this business. So that's good.
That's awesome.
That is good.
So let's go back and talk about young Rebekah. When did you get started and where are you from? You weren't born in LA.
No, I was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada, which people are always like, oh, that sounds like it would be really exciting. It wasn't, I can tell you. It's like, you know, there's a Las Vegas Strip and then there's the entire world that goes on outside of the Strip, which is very different than the Strip, obviously. But I was fortunate enough to I started doing dinner theater on the Las Vegas Strip when I was 13. And I kind of like, my mom's a piano teacher and she would play for singers in Las Vegas. And my dad's from New York, so we would always go to New York and see Broadway shows. So I was very much sort of inundated with theater and performance and dance from a really, really young age. And I just kind of always knew that I wanted to somehow be in the business. So yeah, I started doing theater in Vegas when I was 9, dinner theater when I was 13, and then I moved to LA when I was 17. So by the time I moved to LA, I already felt like I had been doing it forever, even though I was only 17 years old. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got involved in everything.
What does dinner theater look like for a 17-year-old actress? Because 13-year-old actress, yeah. Because you are on the Strip or off the Strip or Strip adjacent.
On the Las Vegas Strip.
For local?
It was on the Las Vegas Strip, different showrooms. This company would hire actors to put on like murder mystery type dinner theater shows. This is obviously in like the late 90s, early 2000s that I was doing this. And the woman that hired me, she saw me doing community theater somewhere in Vegas. And she was like, if anyone asks, just tell them that you're 21. So I did. And so I started doing it from the time I was very, very young, which looking back on it, I'm like, maybe that wasn't the best thing for a 13-year-old to be doing, but it was very educational. And I did learn a lot and it was fun. I really did have a really good time. And it was a good introduction to the insanity that I now live in every day.
Wow. So how did you end up in LA? at 17, you went to LA?
Yeah, so at 17, I guess when I was 16, I had met with an agent here or something like that. And then I just knew I wanted to be here. And so I graduated high school early. I, tested out so I could get done earlier with my senior year and then just moved here, which again, like now as a 40-year-old woman looking back on it, I'm like, I have a 20-year-old stepdaughter and she seems like a child to me. So when I think that at 17, I was out here by myself, I'm like, oh my God, that's totally bananas. But it worked. And like I said, also, I had been basically working as an adult for 4 years at that point. So it wasn't, I guess, as crazy as maybe it would have been for other people.
Times were different back then too, though. I mean,
Correct. It was a very different time. Correct.
wow, wow. I don't know. That's still scary though.
So were you more excited when you went, or were you more nervous?
When I moved to Los Angeles,
Yeah,
um,
all my stuff at 17, you know what I mean?
yeah, no, I was excited and I was also naive. I didn't know anyone that worked in the business. So I truly was just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and it was just a learning experience from the second I arrived here. But a part of me is glad that I started so young because this business is so crazy and there is so much to take in and learn about how things truly work on the inside, that I'm glad I started the education to work in this business when I did. But yeah, I was just excited because I didn't know otherwise. I didn't know like the horrors and the craziness of the business yet. But I learned very quickly, obviously.
So you had an agent, you met with somebody, they booked you, but you didn't have jobs lined up. So you took all your life savings. I'm always fascinated about that. I had $700 in my pocket and I moved to Los Angeles. It's like, that's enough? How do you, what
No, I
happened?
mean, no, so I had been working, I was a cabana girl at Bally's on the strip I had saved up money doing that. And I was doing my dinner theater and I was also working at a clothing store. And then my dad gave me some money. So I cobbled together money and I moved out here. My mom actually took me out, my mom took me here 2 weeks before I moved out, and I got a job at PF Chang's as a hostess. So yeah, so I did have a job by the time I actually moved here, but of course I didn't have any money. I was very, 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 very poor. But you just make it work if you want to be here. You know what I mean? And I always think about how hard it is financially here because yes, especially how the economy is now. I don't know how anyone could afford to go to LA or New York and make it work. Like I really don't. I mean, unless you're sharing a bedroom with 6 people, like how do you make that work? You know what I mean? But yeah, and I know in New York, it's even more expensive. I'm like, I have no idea how people in New York make it work because the rent is literally double what it is here. So kudos to the struggling actors and artists in New York for making that hustle. You know what I mean?
Well, and some of those people, I mean, I know this much about Broadway actors and actresses, but I mean, it's like an ensemble cast. You're not getting paid that much, and you're in a hit Broadway show. So
Right.
how are they even paying rent with that?
Correct. And now on this side, and we have the business, and we do have actors that are on Broadway and Broadway performance. And yes, the contract, if you're not starring in a Broadway show, if you're just in the chorus, you're just getting paid a flat, equity rate, which is truly barely enough to cover your rent every month. So even if you're on Broadway, you are barely making enough to survive, which is awful. But but if you're on Broadway, then I guess that's what you want to do.
It sounds good though. I'm in a Broadway show.
Yes, exactly. And it is a big deal. I mean, it's a huge deal if you make it into a Broadway show and get cast because you beat out thousands and thousands of people for that role. But it's just unfortunate that you're still basically a struggling artist, even if you're in a Broadway show.
Yeah.
People are at the back door begging for your autograph, begging for a picture with you, and you're going home and eating ramen noodles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Right. I follow different people on TikTok because I'm a big theater nerd. Like Broadway is my first love and theater's my first love. There's just not any money in it, unfortunately. But I follow creators that are in the chorus of several Broadway shows. And yeah, their lives are having their coffee and oatmeal at home and then doing the Broadway show and coming home and eating ramen and living with 4 other people in their super tiny 1-bedroom apartment. You know what I mean? That's the realities of it.
I saw a video of a woman. Somehow I got on this TikTok algorithm, but she was repairing her own shoes. Like the dance shoes only last so long, and she has to put her own shoes together. And
Oh,
you
wow.
think they'd have a makeup team and all this stuff, but she's repairing her own dance shoes, and they only get like 100 performances. Then I have to relace them and rebuckle them and recobble them, and she does it all herself. Because,
Goodness.
yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy. You would think they'd have a team of people doing that for you.
Yeah.
I know. It's the whole inside workings of this business. I mean, and you guys know, you're both performers. Everything's different than what people think that it is.
Well, that's why we started our television show, because that was the main question everybody asked. How do you make it work? We're a family of 6. We have a live-in babysitter, so we count her as well, right? So we have identical 3-year-old twins, a 13-year-old daughter.
She's 12. Don't rush. She's 12.
12-year-old daughter. And so it's we're in an RV, pulling a trailer, doing 400 shows a year.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God, that's amazing that you do that. That's incredible.
yeah, but people are like, how does that work? How do you homeschool? How do you have family time? How do you do this? You're working all the time. But we have 6 shows this week, and we have 3 days off.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's amazing that you're doing that with twin 3-year-olds and almost teenager. That's incredible. You both must be exhausted.
I just woke up from a nap. That's why I'm a little foggy. We had a morning show this morning. Summer camps are crazy right now. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm
like
sure.
summer camps. I'm doing all this research. I got a page of notes on you. Your birthday and Natalie's birthday are only 2 weeks apart. So you guys, I thought that was
Happy
kinda cool.
birthday. Happy 40th.
Happy birthday. Oh, did you just turn 40 also?
Yep.
You-
So
Oh
I
my
think-
God, we're twins.
Yeah, I know, right?
I
Just-
love it.
Slightly older than you.
Yeah, literally just a couple weeks. Well, happy birthday.
Yeah. You too.
She's a tax day baby. So
Yeah.
So how did you and Dante meet? I see that you guys wrote together in 2014 and things like that. Is that how you guys met?
No, we met actually. I had always wanted to do stand up, and I had done improv, and I was already acting at that point. But I wanted to do stand up, and so I called the Comedy Store because I knew that they had classes, and they were like, "Listen, I'm supposed to tell you to take classes from this person, but you should really take classes from this guy Dante because he's the best, and he's one of the best headliners here." And I was like, okay. So yeah, that's how I met him, and the rest is history.
Golly, he reeled in a young comedian.
He
That's
did.
awesome.
He did.
That's awesome.
It is.
So what is it like when you're writing a movie with him? Are you guys, I mean, I'm looking at your credits. This was like 2014. I'm talking about these couple movies you wrote with him. Were you guys just punching it up, or were you guys writing in a room together, or how did that work?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends which movie you're talking about specifically. Like sometimes we have punched up together, but then there are certain scripts that we have written from the ground up, like a project that we're working on right now that's in development. We just, started it from just the outline, and yeah, and we just kind of like we talk out the script, and then it's like, okay, well, I want to write this scene, and then he's like, okay, well, I kind of want to write this part, and then we do our separate things, and then we come together and see if it even kind of makes sense once it's been brought together, and then we just kind of like tweak it from there and make it work. And I really like writing with him. I mean, people are like, how do you write with someone, and does it not make you crazy because they might want to change things that you did? But it's good to get another perspective on the story because everyone is going to come at it from a different perspective, so it actually, I feel like, adds a lot to it.
So we're together 24 hours a day. We work together. We do everything together. We're rarely spend time apart. I mean, if I'm away from her in the house for 45 minutes, she's like, "Hey, where are you?" That's just how close we are.
Hey,
You and
we're
Don-
just-
Yeah.
yeah, no, we're
Um,
together. I mean, we work from home. We're together all the time. Yeah.
So how's your stand-up career going, and how was that coach? Did he take care of you? How's it going?
Yes, he was a very good coach. And the comedy's going well. I just headlined in Alaska, which is gorgeous. I had never been. I mean, have you guys been to Alaska?
No. What time of year was it, and what was it like?
So this was just a couple weeks ago, so summer, and it is just stunning. I mean, it was still cold. It was like 58 degrees was the high in June. And it still got cold at night. And then the sun doesn't go down, which is wild. It's like a total, it messes with your mind because I would do a show and come off stage and it's almost 11 o'clock at night and it looks like it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Like it's so crazy, but it's something that everyone should go and experience because it is stunning. Like it feels, I mean, no one lives in that state hardly. It's like 800,000 people in the whole state and it's the biggest state land-wise in America. And it feels like that. You're like, you drive forever and just see no one. It's crazy.
Wow.
Wow. So is it always dusky looking? Is it always 5 p.m.? 24
Well,
hours?
it starts to like at 1 o'clock in the morning, it kind of looks like sundown, but then it kind of just starts getting bright again. It's really crazy. And then apparently, I mean, and then in winter, it never gets sunlight. So it's just dark all the time, which is crazy. Can you imagine like getting your kids up for school and it's just dark all day? Like that's crazy.
That is. I don't think I'd like that.
She has a,
Either.
at our old house, her office was downstairs. So she had to have that special light on her that
A happy
mimics
lamp.
this.
Yeah, it's called a
Yes.
happy lamp. And yeah, I wouldn't survive in Alaska when it's dark all the time. I'd be
Same.
walking around with a happy lamp. I don't
Same. I would have that thing on me all the time. I mean, I was kept talking to people. I'm like, isn't that hard? And they're just like, oh, you get used to it, which I'm sure you do. You always get used to things, but I think that would be really hard to not see sunlight at all for months on end. Like that has to be insane.
Yep. No. No, I think I could visit Alaska, but I'm not gonna stay there. And
wonder
I would
how-
have to visit not during the dark period.
Same.
Stuff.
I wonder how long it would take you to get adjusted to that, though. I mean, 'cause especially if you move there during the dark time.
I need sunlight, so I don't think I could adjust to that period. I would
Yeah.
have to, yeah, no.
Right. I know.
All
Like
right.
that has to be so crazy. I don't know how people do it.
So did you do a couple different clubs up there, or did you do one club, one theater? What was the gig?
I did 3 different towns. I did Kenai, Wasilla, and Anchorage. And Anchorage is obviously like the big city, but it's a small city, you know what I mean? But that's like the city there. And it was just honestly, it was gorgeous. And then, you know, we would drive to the next venue, which would be a couple hours away. And yeah, honestly, it was stunning. I saw moose. I'd never seen a moose in my life, and a baby moose. And I saw a bald eagle. I was like, holy crap, this is amazing. I like, who knew I'd ever see one of these in person? You know what I mean? So yeah, it was really cool. And the people are really nice there. And honestly, it feels almost like you're on a different planet. Cause like I said, it's just so open and spacious and different than the lower 48 states. It's really interesting.
Wow.
That's
wow.
fun. That's very
So
fun.
did Dante perform with you, or he was just your chauffeur?
He did. He opened for me on a couple of the shows, which is great because of course he's
Wow.
amazing. So yeah, it was really fun. And he's actually going back to do the same run in November. So I might go with him then just because I'm like, I kind of want to see what this whole no sunlight thing is all about, just so I can say I experienced it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I might go back with him in November just so I can get the flip side of what I already experienced.
Wow, that's cool. What a cool adventure that is.
Yeah.
Though, really.
Yeah.
And then all that driving in the dark, just with nothing
Yes.
around, no one, going from venue just in the dark, and it's 3 p.m.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird because like, yeah, we'd be back in our hotel room getting ready for bed. This was just a couple weeks ago and it would be midnight. And like, again, it looks like it was, 6 in the afternoon and you'd be like, I feel tired, but it's still daylight. Like, this is so odd.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
did they have like the blackout curtains in the hotel room so you could?
Yes, but it only does so much. You know what I mean? Because, it's
Yeah.
still bright outside. Yeah.
Eye mask.
Wow. She has an eye mask anyway.
Yeah, I do.
Same. Eye mask, earplugs, everything.
There you go.
All right, so let's go back to you're this young starlet in LA, and you have this agent. You're working at PF Chang's. What was the first big role? What was the first big role you got?
So when I was 18, I got cast in this series. There's this gay comedy movie series, and it's like for gay guys, and it was really popular in the early 2000s called the Eating Out series. And so I got cast in that, and it's an independent film, but it ended up becoming a really big deal on like the film festival circuit, which was really lucky that I got cast in something like that because most independent films, no one ever sees them. And so, yeah, I was fortunate that I got cast in that because it did become sort of like this cult hit and I got a lot of work just from being in that. I mean, I still get auditions and stuff just from being in that movie. So I'm forever eternally grateful that I was cast in that. And I'm still close with all those people. And then when I was 20, maybe 21, I got cast in my first horror movie. And same thing, like that company kept casting me in those movies. And even though like shooting those movies were not the best experience ever, the horror fan base is like the best fan base you could ever have. They're like really loyal, really appreciative, great fans. And so I feel grateful that I have that. So yeah.
Well, our live-in babysitter, because we're on the stage, we're on the road, she takes care of our little boys. So we're parents right after we get off stage, but
Right.
while we're on stage, we can't do it. She is a horror movie fanatic. So we're gonna start looking all these movies you were in that we interviewed you, and that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a horror movie marathon. So
Yeah.
They're terrible, just so you know. I'm gonna tell you right now, the movies I'm in are terrible. I mean, they're bad B horror movies.
that's all right. That's all right. Hey, some horror movies, you know, some of them are nuggets in the rough. Some of
Yeah.
them are fun just because they're so bad too, though.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yes. Well, these definitely fit into that category. They're awful, but I mean, it is, you know, they are what they are, and people seem to like them. So whatever.
Can I ask what was rough about filming them that you didn't like, or do you not want to talk about that?
No,
I don't want you.
You don't want me to like relive my trauma of the horror movie sets?
No, I don't. I don't want you to burn bridges or, you know, upset anybody. But I'm just curious.
No, I
Piques
will
my interest in that comment.
Yeah, no, I will totally talk about it. I mean, look, these movies, I worked, most of the horror movies I did, not all of them, were with this company called The Asylum, which they make, like, they made Sharknado. They make a lot of like the sci-fi low budget horror. They really like, you know, have the market on that. And the pay is awful. If you're doing a non-union acting job, you know, the pay is really bad. I think when I started, I was getting $25 a day to, you know, and you're shooting 18-hour days. And of course, you know, like they get you because they're like, well, this movie is going to have international distribution and that's a big deal, which it is. And so it's like, that's how they get these young actors to agree to like do these movies for no money. But yeah, you're getting paid no money. You're working 18 hours a day. Actors on set, depending on, you know, who's in charge and everything, you know, you might feel more respected, but it wasn't, you know, again, some experiences were great, but some were awful, awful experiences. But I'm grateful for, look, I get that it's a big deal to ever be cast as a lead in any kind of movie, even if it's super low budget or not. So I'm grateful for that. And it was a really good learning experience. And I have to say, saying all of that, we have clients that have been in the biggest budget movies that you can be in, and their experiences are not that different than the ones you experience on the really low budget ones. So it's like terrible experiences exist on film sets, even if you're $100 million budget or a $500,000 budget. You know, it just kind of, it always comes down to who you're working with. But I guess that's most businesses, right?
Yeah.
So these 18-hour days, I mean, I'm imagining a horror movie, for you know, slasher movie. You're in the woods, mosquitoes, no craft services, no makeup, no.
Well, no, there's
close.
Huh?
Am I close? That's what I imagine. Am I close?
Well, there's crafty and there's makeup and stuff, but yes, you are in the middle of the woods. You are miserable. I shot a horror movie for Sci-Fi Channel called The Fluebird Horror. It's very terrible. But we were in Romania for a month in the middle of the summer, and it was really hot and humid, like beyond. And I have really frizzy hair normally, but people usually want to straighten it because whatever. And it was literally like so much of the job of this hair and makeup team was just keeping my hair straight because like the humidity just kept on like frizzing it back up. And so like in between every take, they were like flat ironing it out as much as they could. I mean, and you know, I was just sweating all my makeup off. I was like, this is really, we shouldn't be filming this maybe in July. I don't know if any movie should be filming in July because it's true. Like if you're sweating off all your makeup, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, how was Romania? Did you get to experience any of it?
You know, it was actually really cool. Bucharest is a cool city. There's a lot of history. I was staying on the street where it's like you would just walk out of the hotel and right next to it, there was a church from the 1300s, which it's like, we don't have anything like that. I mean, nothing is that old in America. So it's really, that part's cool. And I'm a huge history nerd. And they had like a kind of a cool sort of like vampire-y bar scene where it's like, you go into these old buildings and then you walk down like a really small, weird stone staircase. And then you're just in like this big rave, you know what I mean? Like it was crazy like that, but it was cool. Like it was a fun experience despite the heat and humidity and everything. It was cool.
I remember seeing that in a movie. Like you go through a church and downstairs is a rave, and I'm like, that's only in a movie. That's for real. Like they,
Yeah, for real in Romania, like for real. That's like a real thing. Yeah, in like old buildings. Yeah.
That's wild.
That's neat.
So I want to talk about your hair frizz. In your demo reel, you had like, I call it the splash hair. I can't remember the actress's name that was in Splash.
Daryl
Hannah.
Yeah.
Daryl Hannah. You had it, but you had it to the extreme in your demo reel. Was that the little crimper iron, or that's not natural? That was a lot of crimping going on there, huh?
No, I'm trying to remember. No, if my hair was curly in the demo, that probably is just my hair. And then sometimes most of the time I feel like it's straight in most of the things you'll see me in. Obviously right now, like it's obviously not straightened, but it's not that humid here. So that's why it's not like offensively frizzy right now.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe it was just like worked on the curls more, so it was like it seemed like it was straighter down, but it was definitely curly, like tighter curls maybe.
Probably.
I thought it was
like it hard to work with curls.
Yeah.
It was probably whoever just the hair person was, whatever product they put in, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow, that was awesome. There's so much to go. I don't even know where to go because I have a page of notes on you and we've only scratched the surface. All right, let's talk about this. So your Eating Out series, I want to do that, but I also want to do horror. I have a question about horror. You started that at 18 years old, but somewhere in IMDb, somewhere down the thing, they said you weren't even allowed to go to the rap party. You weren't old enough.
Oh yeah.
So how were you able to film everything, but then they banned you from that? Did they find out, or did you tell somebody, or when paycheck came? How'd that happen?
So when I shot the first Eating Out movie when I was 18, and then I was 19 when it premiered at like all the big film festivals, and that's when it became like this big hit because there'd never been a comedy movie for gay. It's basically like the American Pie movies, except just all gay guys. You know what I mean? So like nothing like that had been done up to that point before, and so it was like a big deal, and it screened in theaters in LA, New York. So we had a premiere here, and I was 19 at the time, and they were like, the after party's at the Abbey. And so I just assumed because I'm in the movie that I would be able to just get into the Abbey in West Hollywood, you know what I mean? But it is a bar, and you do have to be 21 to go into a bar. And so like when they asked to see my ID, they're like, sorry, you can't come into the party. And I was like, but I'm in the movie. And they were like, sorry, kid. And I was like, but I'm in the movie. Yeah, they wouldn't let me in. And I was so sad. And I remember this guy, this other actor, because it was chilly, and he like gave me his shirt to wear to, I was like standing outside, like looking through the bars at the Abbey and everyone having a good time.
You're laughing now, but that took time to heal.
Yeah.
I guarantee that killed you.
I would think they could make like an exception, like be like, okay, she's in the movie, she can come in, just don't serve her alcohol. Like they could tell the bartenders, don't give her alcohol.
No, if I was really famous, they would have done that because they always do that with really famous people, but I'm not famous enough for them to have done that. So they were just like, sorry, kid, you're waiting out on the sidewalk. And I was like, but that's okay. I went to McDonald's and I drove home.
Party.
Wow. Yeah. So with all the horror movies that you've done, do you do the like Comic-Cons and things where you sign autographs, or is that just?
Yeah, I did. One time the Asylum had me go down to Comic-Con to sign autographs, and I was shocked at like how many people wanted autographs from me and the other people from these movies. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe people are actually watching these movies and like them, because like as I was making them, I'd be like, this movie is terrible. But yeah, it was really cool. And people came, and I only experienced Comic-Con once, but it was like overwhelmingly cool. And I would love to go back just as like a fan to do all this stuff. Cause I'm I love Star Wars. Like I love all this stuff. So I'd love to just go back and be able to like properly nerd out the way I'd want to nerd out. But it's like, it's overwhelming. Have you ever been to Comic-Con?
No, I'm a Superman nerd. I love Superman, and I love comic books, and yeah, but no. No, I mean, look at me. I'm a big magic nerd.
I know.
But
all of that is so cool behind, like you guys have a really cool setup. I love it.
This is my magic room. I have a little hidden passageway in the bookshelf here that opens up to another room. So
Cool.
I'm a big kid. All right. So let's keep going with you here. Horror movies. Is there ever a moment? I worked my first gig away from home as a magician. I got hired to work a haunted forest. So they hired me as a magic consultant. So I would go out there and do special. I wanted to do movie makeup special effects. That's what I wanted to do all through school. And then
Cool.
Terminator 2 came out when I was in high school. I was going to go to Art Institute of Pennsylvania. I already had everything, the brochures. I was applying everything. Terminator 2 came out. It was all CGI. I wanted to do hands-on movie magic. I did not want to sit behind a desk for 20 hours a day. So I'm like, forget. I went to school for marketing because I wanted to promote myself, and I gave magic a chance. So that's my backstory, right? But while I was working that farm, we always imagined, like, in the woods, people were smoking dope, people were drinking to get through the shift. Imagine if somebody really did get stabbed in the woods. Everybody would cheer, and it would be great. That looked real.
Of the show.
That's part of the show.
Right.
Do you ever have those moments filming a horror movie? Like, something could go down here. This is low budget. People are crazy. Or is it?
If I start
very
screaming, they're
sterile?
just gonna think I'm doing my role or
Yeah,
something.
it really looked like he stabbed her in that scene. Wow.
Yeah.
No, you would think so, but no. Like I shot a lot of horror movies in Big Bear, which is like, woodsy, an hour and a half outside of LA. And no, people would we would be doing scenes where there'd be lots of screaming, and we would just get noise complaints. They'd be like, the neighbors said you guys are keeping them up, so you need to not do those screaming scenes right now. No one was like, I think someone's being murdered in that house. You know what I mean?
Wow. It's just like they're being too loud while they're dying. You get
Yeah. Yeah, there's someone screaming nonstop from next door. Can the police do something about that? But I'm sure they would have seen the crew and everyone outside. So I think that's part of it too. Is there's always 40 people around whatever you're doing. So they, assume that probably a murder is not taking place.
Wow.
Oh, by the way, you said you were from Pennsylvania. Where in Pennsylvania are you from?
No, that's the nearest art institute. Was
Oh.
Pennsylvania. We're in Virginia. We're Central Virginia.
Nice. That's cool. Cool. My cousin just moved from Shepherdstown. I think that's right. She was living there.
In Virginia?
Or maybe it was West Virginia. I'm sorry. I apologize.
You're okay. I don't know. I don't know Shepherdstown. So maybe that is West Virginia. I don't know. We do so many shows. Like last week we were in a different state, but next week we're in a different state. I don't even know where I'm at sometimes. All ballrooms look the same. So it's like, Shepherdstown. Yeah, Wes, you were there last week. I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
She punches in a navigation. I don't even punch the address in. I just drive to the gig. I don't even know where I'm at. So, yeah. So tell me about writing for Joan Rivers on Fashion Police, because we're both big Joan Rivers fans. We're big comedy fans. Dante invited me to that Zoom conference you guys had at the competition. Were you part of that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
How was it?
Great. It went really, really well. I mean, I love the Zoom shows are really fun, and and people are moving on to the finals. So yeah, it went really, really well. I was happy with it.
When he invited me to that, I was like, yes. And Natalie's like, that starts exactly the same time our resort show started. And I'm like, damn, Dante, can I watch it later? Can I do something? We'll get me in the finals or something to watch. But
yeah, of course, absolutely.
But yeah, so tell me about Fashion Police.
It was just the most incredible experience. I, like everyone else, grew up watching Joan Rivers, and I always idolized her and thought she was really funny. And it was just, I only got to spend one full day with her, but it was the most magical day of really my whole comedy career, because I got to be with her. She was rehearsing to do Fashion Police, they were filming that day, and she let me hold her notebook with all her jokes, and I got to hear her tell jokes that I wrote her back to me, which was literally, my brain could not, as I was sitting there, I was my brain could not connect with what was happening, because I was this is so crazy that this is happening right now. My brain was not computing, because I was I can't believe that this is actually happening. And she was really cool and professional and nice, and just the coolest. I feel so lucky, and I'm so grateful that I have that experience, because she's iconic. There's never going to be another Joan Rivers.
Right.
She just seemed awesome all the way around. So I'm glad your experience with her was awesome. And
Yeah, she was super cool. And so many people, when we went into the studio to shoot the show. And like, she took pictures with everyone that wanted to have a picture taken, which is so cool because so many times, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen that too. Celebrities can be dicks and they don't want to take pictures with everybody. And she was like the complete opposite of that. And I'm like, that's how they should all be, because without fans, you're not famous and then you don't have a career. You know what I mean? Like if you're a dick to your fans, like why are you even doing this then?
Yeah.
Well, tell her your story about the Vegas performer.
Oh,
We'll never forget it.
Tell me.
It's sad. So there's a magician, I won't say who, but he did his show, and afterwards he has a line going through, and there's this little boy that you can just tell he wants to be a magician when he grows up, and he just loves this guy and thinks the world of him.
It wasn't me.
And it wasn't me. It was an actual little boy. And he got up there to take a picture, and his mom would take the picture, and the guy's arm went in front of the kid's face. And so the mom goes, "Oh, shoot, can I take one more?" He goes, and you just saw the light in that little boy's eyes die.
Yeah.
And he walked away and I was like, oh my gosh. I lost all respect for him. One, I didn't
tell me after the show, you have to tell me who it was, because I have a guess. I would like to guess who it was.
Okay.
Oh, we'll tell you.
Afterwards,
Afterwards.
But I mean, one, his show was not that great. And then two, he killed So anytime, Wes always takes time with anybody that wants to talk to him afterwards, but he's a little all over the place. And so if there's some kid who's like, and he's not responding to him, like, hey, talk to the kid. Like, just
she'll call
pay
me
attention.
Yeah, no, that's so important, because yes, it does mean so much to them. I never understand when people are rude like that to their fans. It's just so gross. You know what I mean? Because again, like without people that like your work, like you don't have a career in entertainment. So it's like you're totally just biting the hand that feeds you. And especially with social media now, if someone meets a celebrity and they're a dick, they're going to make a TikTok about it and everyone's going to hear about it. You know what I mean? It's like you have to be a dum-dum to be a rude celebrity in this day and age.
Right.
Well, you have 1,000 good interactions and one negative is what goes all over TikTok. It was just.
It was sad to see the bubble burst, and I just
But I tell her he could have had diarrhea cramps. His stomach could have been.
Doesn't matter.
I'm hurting. You're in show business. You fake it just like any other time. You fake it, dude.
Yeah.
But when it's me and tells me to pay attention to a kid, it's normally an adult is telling me, a story about his grandpa met Houdini or something.
Totally.
And I'm involved in that conversation. And she's like, that little boy's waiting. Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Let me do this picture and I'll get back to you. It's that I'm not ignoring people. That's what she's trying to say. I'm all over the place because I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So, anyway. All right. So I got all kinds of questions here for you.
Real quick though. Okay. So you said you worked with Joan Rivers for one day, but you worked on that Fashion Police for longer than that, right?
Yeah. I wrote for it for a while, but I only spent one-on-one day with her. You know what I mean? Where it was me and Dante and her, because she had a team of 13 writers. So, but that was the one day that I got to spend with her. You know what I mean? That was my special day with her.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. That's what I was.
No. So did she have any comedy tips for you? Did you get alone time and say, hey, what's one bit of advice you'd share? Or?
No, I honestly, probably the whole day, I was probably just looking back on it, I'm sure that's just what I looked like the entire time, because I was like, I can't even believe this is happening. I remember there was some crafty sit-ups, some chicken, and she's like, oh, if you guys are hungry. I was just like I'm sure that's how I just looked the entire time. You know what I mean?
Oh, I hope you got a picture. Did you get a picture with her?
No, I didn't. I know. It's I can't believe I didn't. I mean, I guess because we were working and Dante was doing warm up that day. And I guess I probably would have been too nervous to even ask, because I was trying to, just act like this is normal, that this is not a big deal, that you're here. You know what I mean? Just be cool. So I'm sure that's probably why.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to do that. When I'm on a set, I'm taking pictures and I'm the little kid. Yeah.
So is Dante. Dante will go up to anyone. He doesn't care who it is. He'll go up to anyone and talk to them and ask if we can take a picture. And I'm not like that at all. I don't like going up to anyone to ask for a picture.
I make him do it.
Yeah, same.
So we got remarried 2 months ago after 16
Renewed our
years.
vows.
We renewed our vows. I had no interest, but we don't drink, we don't party, we don't gamble. We're in
Right.
Vegas for a week. What can we do wild and crazy? Let's renew our vows.
I
So
love
then
it.
we asked Penn and Teller, would they give her away as a joke? And they're like, yeah. So
Oh my
Penn,
God, I love this.
Penn and Teller gave her away. So because we were performing in Vegas with Penn and Teller that week, and the manager's like, hey, they're done now. If you want to go back and say hi to him in the dressing room before you go on, feel free. So we go back there and ask Teller, will he renew her vows, give her away? And we're talking to him in the dressing room. And then we go down the hallway and see Penn. And as she's having a conversation with Penn, I'm like literally like a fly. My head is just doing this. And Penn's just looking at me. I'm like, I'm trying to take it all in, man, because I don't know if I'll ever be in this dressing room again. He's got pictures and memorabilia from all of his years, 50 years they've been together on the road. All this in this office, and I'm trying to take it all in. And he's just looking at me. I can't play that off. I can't play it off.
Right. It's so cool. And I love that. I love that they did that. Honestly, they're my favorite magicians in Las Vegas. I think they're like just, you know, some of the best ever. I think they're just amazing.
Yeah.
And I know I met Teller once, but Penn seemed like he's just really cool. And he was friends with a client of ours. And so he got us into the show a couple times, and they just seem like they're awesome people off stage as well, which is always rare and nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They definitely are.
They're beyond. You know, I've been fans of them. That movie, Penn and Teller Get Killed, came out in like 1989. And that's really where I fell in love with them. That and Penn and Teller Go Public was their PBS special. My dad had a video store. That's why I wanted to do movie magic.
I love it.
I would watch all the horror movies. I'd go to work with my dad. I didn't have a babysitter. I just sat in a video store. But I mean, I was pulled towards that, and I've loved them my whole life. And when I fooled them on Fool Us, they bought the rights to my trick, and I really became friends with them. And then it's like they're giving, they're off stage, they're just amazing and beyond.
So sweet. Take the time. Yeah. Great people.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm a big Penn and Teller fan. Always have been. Like I love that they gave you away for your vow renewal. So you guys are like Dante and I. We've been together. It'll be 17 years. Yeah, it's 17 years. So we're basically the same. We've been together the same amount of time.
Nice. That's awesome.
It was,
Same birthday months, married around the same.
I know, we're literally basically like the same person.
That's awesome.
yeah.
Now we gotta get together in person.
My
new best friend.
yes, exactly. My new twin sister over here.
Nice.
We're just another famous show business couple. That's all.
Exactly.
So let's see. I don't know. So in your reel, I saw a video of you with Bobby Lee. He was like in that scene. What was Bobby Lee like?
You know, I don't know if I said more than 3 words to him the entire time we were on set. Dante has known him forever. They started in San Diego together in like the 80s. And Dante was directing, and he and I had written that movie, and then I was in it and producing. And so I didn't talk to him that much, but he seemed pleasant and happy to be there. And he and Dante have a nice rapport because they've known each other for a long time. But yeah, I was so praised with like making sure. I remember the whole stress for making that movie was because it's supposed to be this big college party, and getting extras to like not just come to be in it, but then to also stay for 18 hours a day for free is a really difficult thing to do. So you're always in a state of like wrangling people and getting them to like stay, you know what I mean? And being like, oh, we ordered pizza for lunch, no one leave, you know what I mean? So I was more preoccupied with that than I was talking to Bobby Lee, but he seems like a nice guy. So, you know.
Well, I think, yeah, he's got so many different quirkiness things. So I'm really trying to get a beat on him. I'm a fan, but I've never heard his stand up. He doesn't publish anything. He doesn't have a special, I don't think. No.
So you can't see, I mean, surely on YouTube, you can like see clips of him on YouTube and stuff like that, right? I'm assuming. I mean,
I don't know. He doesn't want his stand-up being out because he didn't want to have to write new material.
How interesting. You know, I don't know how I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew he didn't have like a big special, but I didn't know that you couldn't just go watch him like anybody else. That's interesting.
Yeah, well, that's what I heard. So I think maybe he's working on something, or it just came out, or it's getting ready to come out. But after all these years, and everybody says
Wow.
kill, and I would love to see it. So I was like, "What's he like? What's it? Is it good? I don't know." Let's see. In your demo reel, you're speaking Japanese or Korean. Can you remember that line? Can you still do it?
Hi.
It was
No,
Thai.
I don't remember. Unfortunately, I do not remember. But
I
my
was
friend
just wondering if it was something that you had to dig down deep and you had it and you'll never forget it. So I didn't know.
No, unfortunately it's gone, but I did. I mean, my friend does speak Thai, and so she translated it for me and I learned it phonetically. So I am technically saying in Thai whatever it is that I'm supposed to be saying, but I do not remember, unfortunately.
Wow. So what is your who are your favorite? Who do you look up to besides Joan Rivers in comedy? Who are your influences?
Oh God, that's a great question. I think Nikki Glazer is really funny. I think she did a great job on the Tom Brady roast. I liked Lisa Lampanelli a lot, even though she's now retired, which is sad, but maybe she'll come out of retirement someday. Who knows? Um,
That's got the crossover reference with the whole gay thing, didn't she?
yeah.
She was big with the gay community as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Who else do I mean, God, there's so many people that I love in this business. I don't know why I'm totally blanking right now. I'm so sorry. Oh, do you watch I love the show Hacks. Do you watch the show Hacks on HBO? I think
No.
their entire writing team is phenomenal. It's a really, really strong team. I think Christina Pazynski, I've always loved Christina Pazynski. I think she's so great. She's
That's,
one of
that's
my
not
top.
life that I made you watch that bit. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. Yeah, he watched her special where she's in the, I guess it was the last one where she's in that pink suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It looked
He
like
was
something
you gotta
Hillary
watch
Clinton
this.
would
And I was
wear.
like, great.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I loved it.
She's so great and so supportive. Like a million years ago, I'll tell you this story. We had the same manager and I just started comedy, and there was a comedy showcase, which means like everyone that this manager reps as a comic, they do, a show in front of industry. And it was at this really rowdy bar in West Hollywood and no one in the audience was paying attention. And I had to open the show and I just started doing comedy and I did my set and like no one even paid attention to me. It was a really awful set. It was a really rowdy room and I was like really bummed. And I didn't even know Christina. And the next day I opened my Facebook and I had a message from her and she's like, hey, I just want you to know that I know that audience was really shitty last night, but you did a really good job at powering through and you should be really proud of yourself. And I remember being like, wow, that's so cool. She doesn't even know me, like that's really cool that this other woman like reached out to me just to be like, good job on that shitty audience. Sorry about that, So I always, anytime I hear anything about her, I'm always like, she's good in my book. She's a good one.
That's awesome to do that.
That is.
Because that's another level reaching out for no reason.
Yeah.
No
For
reason.
no reason, right? She didn't know me at all. She had no, it's totally crazy that she, would feel the need to do that. But yeah, so I always remember that about her. And I always just have thought I think she's one of the best comics out there.
Wow. So I love comedy and I feel like I'm a comedy snob. Like I'll watch comedy and I won't even laugh. I won't even smile. It's just because I've seen so much.
Same. I know, same.
But that Christina special, I laughed out. I was watching it by myself in my magic room and I laughed out loud a couple times. Natalie, you got to see this. This was good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So we talked about comedy. What was your first night on stage as a comedian? How was that?
My first night on stage was at the Improv, was the first show I did as a comic. I forget whose show I was on, but yeah, it was at the Hollywood Improv, and I probably only did like 3 minutes. And yeah, it was that was actually, maybe that was my second show. The first night was at like this divey bar deep in the valley with Dante. And yeah, I think I just told 3 jokes, and I remember I was nervous and I did a shot of tequila before I went on stage, which now it's like I would never do that because am I insane? But yeah, so that's what I did. But yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes you just need that little bit of courage. I don't know. Some people can do it. I can't. I get giggly. I go to sleep. So I'd be tired during my performance.
I used to now I'm not like this. Dante and I like hardly ever drink anymore. But when we first went on the road, I was partying hard and would like do shows super wasted. And now I'm like, I have no idea why I thought that was a good idea. Because I
So
don't do that.
what made you want to go from an actress to a comedian and do both, or not just stick with the acting?
I think deep down I always wanted to do comedy since the time I was a little kid. I always loved it. I have all my cousins that I grew up in Las Vegas with are much, much older than my brother and myself. And so they would always have Comedy Central on when we were doing family stuff. And so from the time I was like little, I was always watching stand-up comedy. And I remember just being like, this is great. You know what I mean? Like this is great stuff. And I wanted to do it and I didn't know how. So a part of me always wanted to also do that along with acting. I just don't think I didn't know how to do it until I met Dante.
So in the late 90s, early 2000s, Penn Jillette was the voice of Comedy Central. Up next on Comedy Central. So he was the
way.
Yeah, if you think back to those, I used to watch it used to just be on my television all the time. Comedy Central just be playing as I'm doing homework or whatever. Yeah. So so now, I mean, you've done everything, comedy and you have the entertainment agency and acting and writing, and now you're directing as well. How's that going?
I love it. I directed my first feature last year, House of Karma, which hopefully will be coming out this year. And it was honestly amazing. I loved it. I would love to direct all the time, which I know like every director says that, but I loved it. And so I hope I have more opportunities to direct other movies because it was a really great experience for me. And you know, when I was little, I would like direct plays in my living room with everyone from the block. And then we would invite like the whole block to come. And it was like a scene when I was little, when I was 9 or 10, 11. And so I think a part of me is like always really wanted to, you know, do directing primarily. And so I hope in the future that I can do that more because yeah, it was a great experience.
So you felt like you just slid right into the role? You didn't feel immense pressure?
No, strangely, I don't know why. I mean, it was also a horror movie and I've done so many that I was like, okay, if I'm going to direct anything, I know how to direct a horror movie because I've watched lots of people do it, you know? So yeah, I felt confident. And I also, when I was like just acting in movies all the time, I remember thinking like, why did I don't agree with this shot. Like if I was doing this, I would want to do something different, you know? So it was nice to just be able to do that.
So how much does an editor mess with your job, or did you, who edited your movie? And how was that? Because boy, they can take it in a whole nother direction.
Totally. Hiring a good editor is so important. It's kind of like, it's up there with maybe the most important thing because yes, what they do can really make or break everything that you've done up to that point. But I was very careful about like the options that we had going into that process. And I was really happy with who we ended up with. But that's what if I could give one word of advice to any filmmakers watching, it is like, your editor is going to make or break whatever it is that you've done for sure.
So do they have control, or is the director right there 100%?
Honestly, it depends. It depends who the executive producers are. It truly just depends on many different factors. I was not sitting with him when he edited this movie, but I also know like when Dante directed Bro, What Happened, he did sit with that editor a lot. I think with comedy, it's also harder with editing because so much of it is timing and, you know, there's like an extra element that goes into the editing when you're doing just a comedy. So he sat with him for like a lot of that editing, but I did not sit with my editor for a lot of the editing.
So with these movies, were you able to pull from Golden Artist Entertainment to get the ones that you guys are directing now? Are you guys able to pull from your own people?
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
You guys are of course out there.
Yeah, we want. Yeah, no, of course, we definitely always want to pull from our own people when we can. I mean, that's the goal, to just get all of our people working all the time. And hopefully in this project we're working on now, which is a comedy, we'll be casting a lot of our own people also in that.
Wow. Well, if you ever need a magician and his assistant in the background, you just let us know.
Right, my
What we
twin.
have, $25
Yeah.
a day. That sounds amazing.
I know.
And free pizza.
We'll talk. That's why he's funny the booking.
We'll talk. We'll talk. Hopefully at this point it would be more than $25 a day, but we'll see how this whole thing pans out.
Wow. Wow.
That's funny.
So I don't know. You can't talk about upcoming stuff. What do you want to do in the future? What do you want to do more of? More comedy, more directing, more acting, more everything.
Yes, I would love to really focus on directing. I do love writing. There was a part of me for a while that didn't really want to act anymore for various reasons. And I feel like I'm kind of on the other side of that, where I'm kind of like, you know what, I kind of do want to act and stuff again and stuff I really want to do. You know what I mean? Like when you're acting in LA, it's like you're auditioning and then it's like, well, you better do whatever you book because your agent got you that role and your manager got you that role. And there's people relying on that money now. And so often it's stuff that like you don't really want to do. You know what I mean? And nothing, you know, against any of the projects. Again, I'm grateful for all the horror movies that I was in, but I got to the point where I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. But now it's like, if there's something I really, really want to do, I'm gonna try to do it. So yeah, I want to do everything. And honestly, in this business with it being so crazy, you have to do everything now. You know what I mean? They're like, you can't just be an actor or just be a writer because it's crazy. The work just isn't there like it was even 5 years ago. So everyone has to be everything now.
I mean, we're doing 400 shows a year. We do a podcast. We also have our own television show.
Right.
She's also a health coach. I mean, we have a lot of
Right.
things going on as well. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that you're a health coach. Well, we'll have to talk. I'm really into health stuff too. So
Great.
we'll have to connect.
Look at this.
This is my sister
Twins.
across the country.
Twinsies.
I know. Twins.
Well, so she gained a lot of weight having twins,
Yeah.
right? And then she couldn't lose it. And they're like, oh, well, you're breastfeeding. You're going to hold on to it. And then she stopped breastfeeding and she couldn't get rid
Still
of it.
held on to it. Yeah.
So,
You look
and it was
amazing.
during the
Thank you.
pandemic.
Thank you.
It was during the pandemic. We were both eating pizza 24 hours a day because it's cheap. We could afford it.
Mode. Yeah, and survival mode with newborn twins.
And not sleeping. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Golly, this has been awesome. We're
Yeah.
running out of time. I don't know. Can we see clips of your stand-up anywhere? Do you have clips on YouTube? Bobby Lee doesn't. Do you?
I do. There's clips of me. Yes, there are definitely clips of me on YouTube doing stand-up if you just type in my name. There's clips of me when I hosted the AVN Awards on Showtime. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff of me on the YouTube for sure.
So how is the AVN? It's adult video. What is it?
Yes, it's the Porn Awards. It was crazy.
What
It was
is
an
AVN?
honor.
What is
Yeah,
it
I
stand?
don't know what AVN stands for. Adult Video News. That's what it stands for.
Okay, so you're headlining that, and
Yeah, and that was crazy. I mean, it was a great experience because they only had like huge A-list comics. I was like the first comic that ever hosted it that wasn't like a super famous comic. So everyone was like, why is she hosting it? You know what I mean? So it was like a lot of pressure not to fuck it up, but it was amazing. I had a great experience doing it. And it was like these women would win for like best anal gangbang, and they would get up on stage like they just won an Oscar and be like crying and like thanking their husband and their families and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, you know, this is their Oscar. So there you go.
wow, you deserve it.
Right. You deserve this. Right. You deserve this award. You do.
Golly. So I imagine it was just Vegas on steroids. It must have been just a madhouse all the way through that thing. Was it organized chaos, or was it just chaos?
It was organized chaos. I mean, it's a big event, and there was like a convent. Yeah, no, it was chaos, but it was definitely streamlined, organized chaos for sure. They run a tight ship because they have to, you know what I mean? But it is all about like, you know, the after party we had. It was like me and the other two hosts, which are big porn stars. They're like, you're at some club, but it wasn't that, it's like, you know, you're just kind of sitting there, and then it's like, yeah, it's not as exciting as you would think, to be honest with you, because it's mostly just a bunch of dudes that paid to get into this club to like be around the girls in the VIP area. You know what I mean? It was just kind of not as fun as you would think it was going to be. Like, I think Dante and I stayed at the after party for like 15 minutes and then we were like, let's go.
So, did you get it because of the Eating Out series? Because you're become so famous for that, or just comedy, or?
I did. This was another industry showcase, like the other one I told you about, and I did this industry showcase and I bombed at the Comedy Store. Like, I had a horrible set, like no one laughed. It was awful. And so I got off stage and I was like, that was humiliating. I'm just gonna leave, right? And so as I'm leaving the Comedy Store, this guy like chases after me and he's like, hey, I just want you to know that I thought you were really, really funny. I think you were great. I'm a big fan. And I was like, oh, this guy's probably just hitting on me. You know what I mean? And then 7 months later, my agent at the time got a call and was like, this guy said he saw you at the Comedy Store and some industry showcase and he wants you to do the AVN Awards. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. But that just also show that even if you have a garbage show, you never know who's watching. So
You never know who's watching 100% of the time, no matter where you are. You just never know. You never know. Wow. Wow. I remember Lisa Lampanelli doing like a media circuit when she was hosting the AVN. Like, she went on Howard Stern and she went on all these different podcasts.
yeah.
I mean, the audience for that was millions on Showtime, right? Huge.
Right, 40 million people.
Wow.
Daggone, girl. That's awesome. That's awesome. Would you want to do it again?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And I was so jealous because a few years after I did it, there was always like the comedic host and then there's like a music host. And my music host was Machine Gun Kelly, which was like, fine, whatever. I don't really care. But a few years later, it was Cardi B. And I was like, I can't believe that Cardi B is there and I'm not hosting when Cardi B is also hosting. Like, I please, where's my picture with Cardi B, you know?
Wow. Wow. Well, dude, we have done everything here. This is an hour podcast. It flew by.
Yep.
It flew by because of you guys. Really, thank you so much. Sometimes I do podcasts and it feels like 5 hours. You know what I mean? In 1 hour. This felt like 15 minutes.
Oh, good. That's because I'm your twin.
That's because my twin was on, is why, obviously.
Talk to your twin. So
right, exactly. When you share a womb with somebody, it like goes faster, obviously. So
yeah.
All right, I'll just let you guys wrap it up here. Anyway, thank you so much. I love this. I can't wait to deep dive into your career more because we're going to do movie marathons. I don't care how bad the horror movies are.
You will. You say that now, but you trust me.
When I'm watching your reel and I'm seeing Dante force himself into each one of your scenes in your reel, I'm like, there's Dante. I love it. I love the inside baseball stuff of that. I love it. So I can't wait to deep dive. I can't wait. Thank you so much for doing this with us. Only thing we have left. Hey, where can people find you? Golden Artists Entertainment. Do they?
Yes, goldenartsentertainment.com. I'm also on all socials, just under my name, Rebekah Kochan, RebekahKochan. So yeah, come find me and give me a follow.
That's awesome. Only thing we have left to say is see you next week.
Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.